People often assume that strength is about how much you can show the world, but real strength comes from knowing what not to share. Older women especially carry decades of experiences, struggles, and wisdom. And while those lessons are valuable, not every detail needs to be broadcast. When you keep certain battles to yourself, you maintain control over how people see you and how they respond to you. The world has a way of twisting vulnerability into a weapon when it falls into the wrong hands, and the truth is, not everyone deserves access to your private struggles. Choosing silence doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're selective, and selection is power. When you hold your story close, you choose when, how, and to whom it's revealed, instead of letting the wrong people spin it in their favor. Think about how people listen when you talk. Some listen to understand, and others listen to judge or to gossip. When you share your private struggles with the wrong audience, they may smile at you while silently storing your words to use against you later. This doesn't mean you shut the door on everyone, but it means you become strategic. A trusted inner circle can be a safe place, but the wider world doesn't need a front row seat to your every hardship. By keeping personal struggles private, you cut off opportunities for people to diminish your character or question your capabilities. The truth is, people often respect what they don't fully know, and the mystery of what you're carrying can sometimes be a stronger shield than putting it all on the table. There's also an energy cost that comes with sharing too much. When you reveal every struggle, you not only drain yourself repeating it, but also invite others to label you by your lowest points. That label sticks longer than you think. The mind of others can trap you in a version of yourself you no longer live in because they can't unhear what you've shared. Protecting your energy means protecting the stories you allow to leave your mouth. By not letting everyone into your hardships, you stop them from defining you by the worst chapters of your life. You remain in control of your identity, and that control gives you the ability to stand taller without having to explain why. Another reason private struggles should stay private is because not everyone is equipped to carry the weight of what you share. Sometimes you tell someone something heavy, hoping for support, and what you receive instead is silence, judgment, or pity. None of those reactions help you rise, they only anchor you further. By keeping your deepest struggles to yourself or sharing them only with people you trust, you avoid the risk of being misunderstood or dismissed. You deserve to be seen for your strength, not for the scars you carry. Every time you withhold a private struggle from the wrong listener, you preserve the dignity that others may not be able to offer you. It's also important to remember that sharing too many private struggles can change the way people treat you. Instead of seeing you as capable, they may start to see you as fragile. Instead of relying on you, they may step back, assuming you can't handle the weight. The irony is, older women are often some of the strongest people in the room, but oversharing can distort that truth in the eyes of others. By keeping hardships quiet, you keep your strength at the forefront of people's perception. You get to decide when vulnerability is shown, and when it is, it's powerful because it's intentional, not forced by oversharing. Another layer to this is respect. People respect boundaries they can't cross. When you don't hand over every detail of your struggles, you're teaching others that your life isn't open for dissection. That boundary doesn't make you cold, it makes you confident. It communicates that you value yourself enough to not lay everything bare. And the people who truly care for you will respect that choice, while the people who only seek gossip will be left with nothing to take. In this way, keeping private struggles private doesn't just protect you, it filters the company around you. The ones who stay without needing your private details are the ones who truly value you. Finally, keeping your private struggles private allows you to heal on your own terms. Healing is messy, and when too many eyes are on you, the pressure to explain or justify can interrupt that process. Silence gives you space, space to think, space to process, space to rebuild without the noise of others' opinions. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is endure quietly, grow privately, and then step forward stronger without ever giving people the satisfaction of knowing how close you came to breaking. That kind of control is magnetic because strength seen after silence is always more impactful than strength explained in the middle of struggle. Money has always been a sensitive subject, and when it comes to maintaining power, keeping your financial situation private is one of the smartest choices you can make. The truth is, when people know too much about what you have or what you don't have, they start making judgments and assumptions about your value. Some people will use that information to elevate you, while others will use it to diminish you, and either way, it places control in their hands instead of yours. Privacy in finances is more than just being secretive. It is about maintaining control over how others view you and making sure your worth isn't defined by numbers in a bank account. When you protect that information, you take away a layer of vulnerability and you keep people guessing, which means you keep the respect that comes with mystery. There is also a reality that people treat you differently depending on what they think you own or earn. If they believe you have more, they may expect you to carry more weight, pay for more, or solve more of their problems. If they believe you have less, they may underestimate you, exclude you, or doubt your abilities. Neither of these extremes allows you to be seen as you truly are, and that's the risk of oversharing your financial situation. By keeping it private, you level the playing field. You prevent people from putting you in a box, and you avoid the subtle manipulations that come from people knowing too much about your personal resources. Privacy in this area isn't selfish, it's wise because it allows you to engage with others without the filter of money coloring their perception. Another reason to guard your financial situation is that money often invites unnecessary competition and comparison. Once people know your numbers, they measure themselves against you, and suddenly what should be private becomes public sport. That comparison not only breeds envy, but can also strain relationships in ways that are hard to repair. Even family can be influenced by the shadow of comparison when it comes to money, and that tension creates pressure that robs you of peace. By keeping quiet, you eliminate that temptation for others to compare their lives to yours, and you protect your relationships from unnecessary division. Money should never define the depth of a bond, but when it's out in the open, it often does. It's also worth recognizing that money is one of the easiest tools for people to use as leverage. Once someone knows exactly what you have, they may try to persuade you into decisions that benefit them more than you. They may guilt you, pressure you, or manipulate you, all because they know too much about what's in your hands. Protecting your financial privacy is protecting yourself from this kind of manipulation. You don't owe anyone the details of your accounts or your investments. When you keep those things to yourself, you close a door that people could otherwise push open for their own advantage. That closed door is not only protection, it is a statement of independence. There's also freedom in knowing that your money doesn't define your presence. When you walk into a room and no one knows your financial standing, you are free to be valued for your character, your wisdom, and your voice instead of the size of your wallet. That kind of respect is real because it is detached from status symbols and numbers. The moment people know too much about your financial details, that respect shifts. They may admire you for the wrong reasons or dismiss you unfairly, but either way, the foundation of how they see you becomes unstable. By protecting your financial information, you ensure that the respect you gain is rooted in who you are, not what you have. Another important reason to hold financial matters close is that life is unpredictable and situations change. If people know every detail of your wealth, they will also know every shift, every loss, every gain, and that keeps you under constant observation. That kind of attention creates pressure to always maintain an image or to explain yourself when circumstances shift. But if no one has the details to begin with, you're free to navigate those changes privately, without the burden of outside expectations or commentary. That privacy is peace of mind, because it allows you to manage your journey on your terms without the noise of everyone else's opinions. Finally, keeping your financial situation private creates a stronger foundation for respect because it places the focus where it belongs, on your boundaries and your choices. You are not responsible for explaining your income, your savings, or your spending habits to anyone outside of the circle you trust. Every time you resist the urge to reveal too much, you reinforce your power because you make it clear that not everything about you is up for discussion. That control communicates confidence, and confidence, especially in silence, is what makes people take notice. When it comes to making moves in life, nothing is more powerful than silence. Guarding your future plans is one of the smartest ways to protect both your peace and your progress. The temptation to share what you're about to do can feel strong because people naturally crave validation and support. But the moment you reveal your plans too early, you open them up to criticism, interference, and doubt. Some people will cheer for you, but others will quietly plant seeds of discouragement, and those seeds can grow into hesitation that slows you down. By keeping your plans private, you take away the opportunity for others to shape them before they even have a chance to grow. Silence is not about secrecy for the sake of hiding, it is about protecting the fragile stage where vision is still becoming reality. Another reason to guard your plans is that not everyone wants to see you succeed. As hard as that is to admit, jealousy, insecurity, and competition are real forces in relationships. When you tell the wrong person about what you're working toward, you may be unintentionally giving them the information they need to undercut you or create obstacles in your path. Even if they don't act directly against you, the negative energy of their doubt can create unnecessary weight in your own mind. Protecting your plans doesn't just shield you from sabotage, it shields you from the silent pressure of people who don't have the same vision or drive that you do. Your plans are safest in your own hands until they are strong enough to stand on their own. There is also something magnetic about the power of surprise. When people don't see your moves coming, they can't prepare for them, they can't resist them, and they can't minimize them. The most powerful results are often revealed after the work is already done, not while it is still in progress. When you guard your plans, you allow your actions to speak louder than your intentions ever could. People remember results, not promises, and the less you say about what you are going to do, the stronger the impact when they see what you have already accomplished. This is why silence feels powerful. It allows you to control the timing and the narrative of your own story. Another danger of oversharing plans is the way it creates external accountability before you are ready for it. The moment you say what you're going to do, people will hold you to it. And if your journey takes a turn or slows down, you suddenly have to explain yourself. That pressure can be distracting and discouraging because instead of focusing on the process, you are focused on appearances. By keeping your plans private, you give yourself the freedom to adjust, pivot, and grow without feeling like you're under a spotlight. You remove the burden of having to justify your choices, and you keep the flexibility that progress often requires. It's also important to realize that sharing your plans can sometimes dilute your motivation. There's a psychological effect that when you talk too much about what you're going to do, you feel a false sense of accomplishment before you've actually done it. That feeling tricks your brain into believing progress has been made when it hasn't. Guarding your plans protects your drive by keeping the reward of accomplishment tied to action instead of words. The less you say about what's coming, the more energy you keep inside to fuel the work instead of wasting it on conversations that don't move you forward. Another layer to this is protection from judgment. Plans are fragile in the beginning, and exposing them to the wrong opinions can crush their momentum. People love to point out flaws, risks, or reasons why something won't work. And even when those comments come from a place of concern, they can easily plant fear that stalls your progress. Guarding your plans means shielding them from the noise of outside voices until they are strong enough to withstand scrutiny. Once your vision has grown into reality, criticism loses its power, but while it's still forming, silence is the best defense. Lastly, guarding your future plans allows you to own the element of control. It sends a clear message that your life is not open for speculation or interference, that you choose the pace and the place where information about you is shared. That kind of control is powerful because it draws respect. People may be curious, they may wonder, but the less they know, the more they watch. And the more they watch, the more they see results that cannot be denied. Keeping your future moves close to your chest is not about fear, it's about intention, and intention is what turns silence into strength. Insecurities are something everyone has, but the way you handle them determines how people perceive you. Older women carry a lifetime of experiences, and while there may be doubts or imperfections that linger, constantly sharing them with others doesn't lighten the load. It only gives those insecurities more power. When you voice them too often, you start to frame your own identity around what you think is lacking instead of what you've already proven to yourself. People around you mirror the confidence you project, and when you project insecurity, they begin to see you as less than what you truly are. Holding those insecurities close doesn't mean you're ignoring them. It means you're refusing to let them become your introduction to the world. There's also the reality that not everyone is kind with what you give them. When you openly share your insecurities, some people will try to reassure you, but others may tuck those words away and use them against you later. It might not even be intentional at first, but when someone knows your weak points, they have leverage, and leverage always shifts power out of your hands. Protecting your insecurities from public conversation is protecting your strength from being chipped away by people who don't value you as they should. Your silence in this area becomes a shield, and the less ammunition you give to others, the stronger you stand in every situation you walk into. Another part of keeping insecurities private is recognizing that they often grow when they're spoken too often. Words have power, and when you repeat an insecurity, you give it space to expand in your mind. What might have been a small doubt becomes something that feels bigger simply because you've heard yourself say it out loud again and again. By keeping it to yourself, you starve it of attention, and without that constant reinforcement, it begins to lose its grip. Protecting your peace sometimes means refusing to speak life into the thoughts that threaten to weaken your confidence. Silence can be a strategy to shrink insecurities instead of strengthening them. It's also important to remember that people gravitate toward confidence. Confidence doesn't mean perfection, and it doesn't mean you don't have insecurities. It means you've decided to focus on what you bring to the table instead of what you think you're missing. When you choose not to reveal your insecurities, you give others the opportunity to see you as capable, composed, and steady. That doesn't mean you're pretending to be something you're not. It means you're allowing your strengths to speak louder than your doubts. And in many cases, when others only see the confident side of you, they treat you with a respect that reinforces your own sense of strength. There's also a sense of freedom in not feeling like you have to explain every doubt or fear you carry. Oversharing insecurities can create a cycle where you look for reassurance in others instead of building resilience within yourself. That dependence can be draining, and it can leave you feeling weaker when reassurance doesn't come in the way you hoped. By keeping insecurities private, you take ownership of them. You acknowledge them to yourself, but you don't make them part of your conversations. And in that quiet ownership, you begin to build a deeper kind of confidence that isn't dependent on anyone else's words or validation. Insecurities are often temporary, but the way people perceive you can last much longer. When you reveal every doubt you have, you risk being remembered for your hesitations instead of your strengths. Protecting those insecurities means giving people a chance to see you at your best, not at your most uncertain. That choice is powerful because it allows you to shape the way you're remembered and respected. By holding back, you keep control over your image, and control over your image means control over the respect that comes with it. The world doesn't need to know every thought you wrestle with. It only needs to see the strength you step forward with. Finally, keeping your insecurities to yourself helps you move through life with a quieter kind of strength that others can feel, even if they can't fully explain it. People notice when someone carries themselves with dignity, and dignity often comes from discretion. The less you speak about what makes you doubt yourself, the more people focus on what makes you steady. That shift in attention creates influence, and influence creates respect. Insecurities are real, but they don't need to be public, and the more you choose to guard them, the more powerful your presence becomes. Relationships are one of the most personal parts of life, and the more details you share about them, the more you invite opinions, judgments, and unnecessary complications. When you talk openly about every high and low, people begin to feel like they have a say in something that should belong only to you. They may offer advice you didn't ask for, take sides when they don't belong, or form opinions about your partner or your choices that linger long after the moment has passed. Privacy creates a boundary that protects the intimacy of your relationships, because once too many voices enter the room, the trust and connection you've built can start to feel exposed and fragile. Holding back what you share isn't about hiding, it's about safeguarding the peace that's required for a relationship to grow strong. Another reason to limit what you share is that not everyone around you has the best intentions. Some people may secretly envy the happiness you've built, while others may quietly celebrate the difficulties you face. When you put your relationship problems on display, you give those people material to fuel their opinions, their gossip, or even their satisfaction at seeing you struggle. Keeping those details private ensures that your most important connections are not shaped by outsiders' judgments or whispered conversations. The less information people have, the less power they hold over the way you and your partner are perceived. That privacy becomes a shield that allows love to thrive without being chipped away by the negativity of. It's also important to understand that relationships go through phases, and what feels like a crisis one day may look small in the future. But if you've shared every detail in the moment, those around you won't forget. They may carry those memories and opinions long after you and your partner have moved past them. This creates tension because even when you've healed, others are still holding on to a version of your relationship that no longer exists. Privacy prevents that disconnect. It allows the two of you to move forward without dragging along the heavy baggage of what other people think they know. Your relationship deserves the chance to evolve in private without being trapped in the snapshots that outsiders store in their minds. Oversharing can also put pressure on a relationship that doesn't need to be there. The more details you reveal, the more you feel like you have to live up to the expectations you've created. If you brag about the good, you feel pressure to keep up the image. If you expose the bad, you feel pressure to explain or defend your choices. Both of those traps can weaken the natural rhythm of a relationship because instead of focusing on what works between you and your partner, you're focusing on the narrative you've given others. Keeping things private removes that pressure and gives your relationship space to breathe, grow, and stand on its own foundation. Another reality is that sharing too much can change the way people interact with your partner. If they've heard all the negatives, they may treat your partner with less respect, even after you've moved on from those issues. If they've heard all the positives, they may hold your partner to unrealistic expectations that are unfair. Either way, your words shape how others see the person you love, and once that perspective is set, it's difficult to change. By limiting what you share, you protect your partner's dignity, and in turn, you protect the balance of your relationship. Respect is easier to maintain when you don't invite outside voices to redefine what you've built together. There's also power in creating a sense of mystery around your personal life. When people don't know everything, they're left with curiosity instead of judgment. That curiosity can often work in your favor because it builds respect. People admire those who maintain strong boundaries because it communicates confidence and control. Your relationships don't need to be validated by public approval. The quiet strength of a relationship that stands firm without explanation is often far more inspiring than one constantly put on display. By keeping the details private, you show that you value what you have enough to protect it from unnecessary exposure. Finally, limiting what you share about your relationships allows you to enjoy them in their purest form. Without the noise of outside opinions, without the weight of comparison, without the shadow of gossip, you can experience connection without distraction. Privacy gives you the chance to build a bond that feels authentic and unshaken by the outside world. It creates a safe place where trust grows stronger, where peace feels steady, and where love isn't up for public consumption. By keeping your relationships private, you allow them to remain yours, untouched and unfiltered, which is the kind of protection that makes them last.